Hello and welcome to Intro to Tech, Microsoft Teams for IT. This is a session that is designed to talk about the career of an IT pro for Microsoft Teams. If you're interested in learning more, and to do that, I have invited Adam Levithan. He's an MVP for Microsoft, and he's going to talk to you about Microsoft Teams. Thank you. Adam?
Thanks, Brett. And good morning, good afternoon to everyone who is attending. I guess it could be good evening to some. Great sessions and at this Ignite. And my name is Adam Levithan. I'm a practice manager at Witham, a consulting organization that assists organizations to move to the cloud. And especially over the last few months, what we've been helping people do is get fully immersed in Microsoft 365, which, yes, means using Microsoft Teams. My background is in SharePoint for over 14 years. I'm on Office Services and Servers MVP for the 5th time running. So that's who I am. And just a little story, you know, in the beginning of my career, I was known as SharePoint Adam, and I was on the front line advocating to adopt technology and training on its use. But what employees didn't know is that I was involved in building out the infrastructure, yes, Brett, hardware, that supported the features that I was assisting my company to use. And while I've been using SharePoint for a long time, I was lucky enough to be able to adopt Teams at the earliest release and watch it grow and change. Admittedly, it's been a journey for me to say, okay, I see Teams first. And that's what I do. So you're in a really great time to either be starting your career or changing and working with Microsoft 365 and Teams. But before we jump into that, I do want to just give a little context of at least where my mind is, where we are as IT. And there's really been a technological transformation, similar to what I've experienced in my own life that I just shared. You know, the IT admin is on that journey. And a few years ago, an administrator's job was just to focus on systems management, on hardware, on infrastructure. And when it comes to security, it used to be about protecting specific devices in a specific location. Now, don't get me wrong, for those out there who do like to touch and be able to manipulate physical machines, there is work for you, but it's not the daily expectation of the IT admin anymore. Now we've transitioned to service management, and this is focusing on identity, on content security, on application performance, and security is focused on the combination of all of those things. So it creates much more flexibility and allows the workforce to be able to be much more productive than in, well, the old way to work. So this is Ignite after all, and we're in a Microsoft Teams session. So we go from big to a little bit smaller. What does it mean to me? What does it mean to us to be able to utilize Microsoft Teams? So I think of it in 4 high areas, and I'm sure there are more, but we just don't have that much time to talk about it all. I think that as an IT admin, what's really great is you're directly working with the business on their daily activities, on their organizational goals, and you can feel empowered that you're really making an effect on them. I find that fun and satisfying. Yeah, that sounds a little weird if maybe you've come from a background of help desk and making laptops work, but people are so used to their computers just working that it's now on to that next level. Then the next thing is, while you can make everyone run under the same exact rules, what you also can do is customize for specific use cases. Maybe there's a new collaboration with a partner externally, and you need to change the rules just a little bit about what Teams is going to be able to support. On top of that, not only can you customize, but the solution itself is flexible to use not only all of the features of Microsoft 365, but as a hub of teamwork, Microsoft has acknowledged that there are solutions that organizations are using all the time, individuals too. So you can come in and be able to experience those third-party tools in the Teams interface. And finally, on a personal level, it really is a solution that will continually help you grow and learn as an IT admin, because as we're going to see, there's not one thing that Teams does. There is a lot that Microsoft Teams does and support, and there are so many different evolving ways to use the solution that you get to evolve with it. And if you're looking for that evolution, what you can do is you can look at all the wonderful Microsoft Learn information about Teams at this URL here, aka.ms/teamsonlearn. I highly recommend, after you've finished all of the wonderful Ignite sessions, to jump on there and learn more. But here I've spoken a lot about business, and at Witham, we break down what Microsoft 365 does into 6 different areas. And so I want to put into perspective where Microsoft Teams actually fits in this large array of features. First, secure. The ability to control those identities and manage all endpoints, not just specific ones. Automate. Now this is for both us as IT admins and end users, because we can take tasks and make them more efficient, whether through scripting, building workflows, or my favorite, robotic process automation, to stop those rote transfer of data from one system to the next. Then we have extension. All right, this is usually in the developers realm, and us as IT admins, we accept that they exist. But there are development frameworks that IT admins we can use to build extensions and help our work, to help our customers. And then also the developers can meet those flexible needs of the organization and be able to build applications on top of Microsoft 365. And finally, something that IT admins are really used to is tracking activities, measure, being able to see if a system is working correctly. However, what Microsoft is doing with all of the data that it's collecting, which is only used for internal purposes, it's giving us items like secure score, compliance score, and productivity score to see how people are using the system, not just how the system is performing. Now, you've noticed that I've missed a few areas here. And so where Teams really plays into is communication. And so this is one-on-one chat, replacing Skype for Business if you're using Skype for Business right now, conference calls, large-scale meetings. Yeah, we're in one right now, live meeting. You also can integrate your intranet with Teams, which we're seeing more and more in assisting clients with. Then, of course, collaboration. And here, fully integrated into the Microsoft Teams experiences are your Office tools, making video calls, whether one-on-one or conference calls one-to-many. Many-to-many chat, which being able to brainstorm live. Their calendar that's integrated with Outlook, being able to find one place in your hub of teamwork for tasks, and of course, files. And while you access your files through Microsoft Teams, it is all supported by the best-in-breed OneDrive and SharePoint. Enough about that. How about I show you some of the end user features? Now, maybe you've seen these before, but I just want to, make sure everyone has seen them and is reminded about all the great tools they have at their fingertips. So here I have a demonstration environment in a web browser. And what's really great is the application that I'm using for the live meeting and the web browser are almost identical. Always recommend using the app when possible. But as you can see, it looks almost the same. And you can see I have warnings about different activities and chats. So that's great that I know where I need to look and who's trying to reach out for me. And you can see the different features, chatting, which I can do here on a one-to-many basis. My favorite thing here is using some extra formatting to make my message a little well seen. I can talk directly to one person, and I can either call or I can do a video chat immediately from one location. Also, just to a little sneak peek, I always recommend being able to, if you're looking for someone, you can type in their name. If you're like me, you have a lot of individual chats, you can skip down to the person that you most want to. Then if we talk about Teams, I'll actually just show you real quick. We still have that filter here. So maybe I want to do research and I can see that this is the channel that I want to be in. But before I do that, I want to go back and remind you what an actual team is. So a team is a group of people that are maybe working on a specific item. What we work with organizations on is organizing teams into projects, into consistent templates, and Microsoft gives us the power to do that. And what makes a team so powerful for your end users is that it is a group of people, it has channels which are different subjects, and then it also has tabs. And in these tabs, you have different functionalities. And one of those functionalities are those third-party applications that I mentioned before. Now, it used to be that there are 180 of them. I'm sure at this Ignite, we've announced more than that. But you can see me scrolling fast, a lot of great third-party tools, and of course, Llama. How can you beat it? And you could just add and integrate that into your work experience. Here, you can also see I'm on the Files tab. And so you can open an item directly in the Word application. You can actually edit directly into Teams. You can share just like you would in OneDrive or SharePoint. So really great functionality that is right at your fingertips. And then, of course, you can chat directly in here too. And in here, when you use the function for editing, you can add a subject line. There's actually even a great announcement type that will really get people's attention when you're making an announcement in a chat. In addition, we talked about the calendar. And then the big feature that is bringing everyone into Teams for good, and that was a question in a previous session, is that you can integrate your phone system directly in Teams. So you will truly not have any reason to leave your Teams interface. Then new features. I love to show that the NBA is being supported virtually attend by Microsoft Teams. Brand new looks of sitting in an audience, so it feels more like we're in touch together, a conference room, and then show everyone at the same time. These are rolling out constantly, so as an IT admin, you need to be on your toes to learn the different items. And then, of course, what we're here for. How does the IT admin support Microsoft Teams? Now, you're looking and scratching your head and say, besides the color, aren't these almost identical to how Teams supports the business? Yeah, it kind of are. There are a lot of trends of the business value and the activities that you're going to do on the back end. And that's why, for me, it's exciting because what you do directly affects how the business is running. So you have controls on security. If you're in the government, you also have controls on compliance that apply to the entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So make a decision and apply it once to everywhere. Life cycle, who can create teams, what's the review for your organization, which I highly recommend, and how do you take a team and retire it? And then analysis, being able to see what your environment's like and how people are actually using the solution. But enough talk about that. What I'm sure you really want to do is to see a quick introduction to the administration features. So we go back to the end user. I do also want to say, Teams is not alone. And so as an IT admin, you're working with a lot of different areas and you have access to it all from the admin center of Microsoft 365. But here we're going to look directly at Teams. And where I like to start is talking about org-wide settings. I believe it's at the bottom here because you set them usually once, and you're able to then move on to others. So, questions like, do you allow your users to communicate with other users via Skype or Teams? Guest access, do you allow people outside your organization to access Teams and channels? And I highly recommend being able to do that. And here you can see you have different features that those external users can do. Then there are overall team settings that you can change. Now, I'm showing you these settings as org-wide, but truth be told, you can on the back end change some of these policies to apply to different groups of people. One way to show that is in the Teams apps. So here we will show you all of those apps that we saw in the tab. And if you would like to allow everyone to apply everything, you can, no problem. And all of the items are listed here, or you could remove them if you wanted to. What I've done is I've uploaded an application called Treehouse, which is the name of an intranet of one of my customers. And here you can see the details about it, what version it is, short description, how it can be applied. It's a personal tab. And then if we go up to policies, I can show you that I've created a test policy, which is with Treehouse. So it is the app, and it would install it in that left-hand side. But what I can do is I can assign it directly to a set of users. And that is just a representation of how flexible the different settings are, that you set those org-wide settings, and then you can apply them to different groups of people. Here I just set it to myself. Speaking of users, a lot of information about individual users in this one interface. While this is a demo environment, so I don't get all of the details, you can see if someone calls and says, oh, I should be able to access this, I should be able to do this, you'd be able to see what policy they're in and be able to troubleshoot if they do actually have access. All of their different functionality is here. And there is the list of teams themselves, which has similar information about what is going on with those teams. And in addition, you have devices connecting to Teams for conference calling. You have all of the different voice controls that are enabled when you connect your phone line to Teams. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of different information that is going on here. And finally, I got permission from one of my customers to show you their statistics. So here is a usage report of the last 90 days. And you can see that we have a lot of different types of reports overlaid directly on each other. And also we are getting the detail of the specific teams and users. So it's really great that you can see these items over time. You can download them if you want to keep it for more than 90 days, but it allows you to get a snapshot of what's actually going on, what is being used, and again, connects you to the business about if you have a goal of how many people are supposed to be using the solution. So there's a really quick run through of all of the administration features, or most of the administration features. And now I wanted to open up and see if any of you had some questions we can face. And then two, remind you that 30 minutes, while it could save you 15% on your insurance, sorry, I had to go there. There's a lot more information that you can find on the MS Learn site about Microsoft Teams. So, Brett, any questions?
Excuse me. Yeah, so Adam, you said you were the SharePoint guy. What does that mean in terms of Teams? Are you transitioning to Teams? Is Teams a and or an or solution for you as a professional?
That's a really good question. So I think I mentioned it first, and I transitioned from being no way, it's all SharePoint, all pages. Now Teams is called the hub of teamwork, and I like to think of the SharePoint as the land of knowledge. And so, they still serve different purposes, and it's definitely an and. That pages of information are what we're used to navigating on websites, but it can be integrated. So it could depend on your functionality and purpose. For a lot of professional services organizations, for a lot of not-for-profits that have knowledge centers and areas of focus, we're still building a lot of content in SharePoint, but we're creating access points for them in Teams because they're really working all the time, especially during remote work scenarios, in Teams. Also, another personal note, I've used the system for quite a long time, and it's greatly reduced my Outlook inbox. And it's greatly made it so, conversations that I'm having with teams, if I happen to forget them, I might I might be able to search them like I showed you to be able to see what did we talk about and what was it like. Thanks for asking.
Question for you. Teams seems to has made a big jump in usage, or so it seems, during this global pandemic. Is Teams what's going to happen when we go back to work? Is Teams still an important and viable option?
A really interesting question. So I mean, if you've Googled the trajectory, and Microsoft's been very proud, although actually, Brett, I'll challenge you with this. Why haven't we published the usage after March? Obviously not on your plate, but there was a great increase during the pandemic. However, there was also already a huge trend line that Teams was being adopted. This was just a more rapid adoption. And so what we're seeing is just a boost to what was going to happen anyway, because the changing way of work with being able to chat, multi-synchronous chat, being able to work in one location with internal end clients. Teams is the place to do work. It's not just a marketing name, although it's a cute marketing name. And also, I think I mentioned before, it's a replacement for Skype for Business. So people are used to using one solution, which is totally ubiquitous in most organizations. And also, the piece that we really work at with them, with companies, is the transition to the cloud typically includes, email first, hopefully OneDrive, and Teams then comes. And you're already paying for all of this functionality. So, I think the balance of using the ecosystem, Microsoft ecosystem, and then also having the flexibility of using other tools while you're still in the same context is an amazing adaptation that Microsoft has made that, will embed Teams in how we work for the foreseeable future.
Great. I hear you talked about email a couple times. Is there any advice for shifting the mindset of users from constantly sending emails within your work group to using channel conversations in Teams?
Ooh, that's a really good one. So I always go back, and I'm going to blank on his name right now. When social really started, the CEO of IBM just basically refused to answer emails anymore, that you could only chat to him. And so I think there's carrot and stick. I think you need to have champions to push the conversations, quite literally. What we do and we recommend is those champions will forward those emails into Teams and respond in Teams. And then, what you're getting, people will start to understand the benefits that, you're working on documents directly where you're having the conversation. You can find the conversation. So I think it's, pushing a little bit of the envelope to guide people towards those channels, and having a person behind it or several people just encouraging the change. And by default, we've seen that the adoption increase because users can see the additional benefits of working in that channel compared to working in email. Also, another thing too is one of the things we're doing right now is a lot of organizations have rolled out Teams, but not necessarily in the optimal way, is taking a step back and saying, okay, what do we really want to use this system for? Because now we see a lot of documents floating around that probably are in the wrong place. We see chats, multiple versions of the same team going on. So, setting up broader governance of what a team is, how it should be used, and being able to communicate that to all of the employees really facilitates the what is the benefit conversation. And it while it is a lot similar, there are differences, I like to call them, in organizational personalities, that different words matter. And that's what really strikes the chord in our clients, is being able to customize that language and roll out or re-roll out the solution to match the needs.
Great, thanks, Adam. Here's one for you. Given all that Teams can do, does a smaller company, fewer than 100 employees, really need to develop an intranet?
Ooh, so no and yes. I do still think there are those common questions that need to be answered. So do they need to spell out multiple sites and multiple pages? No, not anymore. However, the information architecture is very similar in Teams to decide, do you have one home landing page that has all of your information? I would argue you still need that. However, I showed you the Treehouse app, or actually the home site app was just announced. You can put an intranet inside of Teams so that organizations, and honestly, we've seen it even with a few thousand people, that you could live without in Teams, but you still have informational pages. I don't believe that a HR benefits team will successfully replace an HR benefits site. However, as you probably already know, every time you create a team, you're creating a site in the back end. So you can certainly connect those two together, like your question before, Brett, a with situation, and you can use that team site for the information so that you're not getting, a plethora of sites as an IT admin to use. So maybe it's not what we think of as an intranet of large organizations. I love the best intranets each year, well, because that's been my business. But certainly, you still need that land of knowledge of the commonly asked questions, and you can integrate that either as a left nav or maybe in a org-wide team as a tab. So there are different ways to integrate it into your Teams experience. Great question. Happy to talk more. You have my email.
Last question for you, Adam. What for someone considering a job in IT admin, especially on Teams or a Teams admin, what are the next steps? What should they do? Where can they learn more? Or what should they, what's next?
Right. So it probably depends exactly where they are. I always like to recommend, it used to be demo.microsoft.com. Correct me if that still is the URL. You can set up test tenants. So, play with your own environment. You certainly can buy one for a year or two. I have my own tenant. You can go to the URL that you're seeing here and look at all the learnings. Actually, also, you have all of the old Ignite content to build it up. I think, as much hands-on experience as you can do, if you're pre-job, but if you're, just starting out in a job, you want to think of those business scenarios and Google or play in your own environment of how would you solve those different features. And there's going to be a lot to learn because there's so much on MS Learn. There's so much so many different features. So start from the beginning at the outer edge. How do you secure the environment? How do you set those org-wide settings, and then work closer and closer to those exceptions? Hopefully that was a helpful answer of where to begin.
Great, thank you. I want to thank Adam for joining us today to give us some of the insights on Teams and as a role as an IT admin. And I want to thank you all for attending this session and enjoy the little bit left of Ignite that you have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.